Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm heading up to the shop and we are going to get started on the Cobra today. What a great day. I have my Bear Bradley purse. Not really, that's my laptop. We're going to dive into some diagnostics today on the car and see if we can't get a few things figured out at least, and get an idea on some stuff. So let's get started. Okay, first things first, just going to give you a little somewhat of a rundown on what I was told this thing is doing. I'm going to get down here so you can hear that. That sounds to me like the flasher. So like, I feel like say it would be in panic mode, or the alarm would be going off. All right. Second thing, I know this had a PATS issue. The guy I got it from got a key made. I believe he only got one key made, but I'm seeing some kind of boogers on the PATS chip in the transceiver key. Next thing, when we cut the ignition on, the theft light is going nuts. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to hook my scan tool up to it and pull what codes that's in it out. Hopefully it will have some codes because I keep the battery unplugged, so this flashing and all this stuff will not run the battery down. So let me get that hooked up and we'll see what we've got. So another thing I wanted to tell y'all is that, let me see what this is. Okay, I just wanted to read that message I got on my software equipment and before I moved on. Now, but I wanted to say I did add a battery charger, like a maintainer on the battery while I'm doing all this on the computer. So I just wanted to add that because I'm not sure the battery is up to par. So I wanted to put a maintainer on it. This is a Mustang. Traction assist equipped. Let's see what it says. Let me get this over here where we can all see it better. Okay, we have, I don't know if that's any better or not. We are showing, where's my first one at? That's the vehicle. Found the instrument cluster. All right, DTC's in the instrument cluster: U1043, U1262, B1213, and B1202. So that's some codes. We have an 1165 ABS code. I believe that is probably going to be the rear wheel speed sensors, since this had a rear end swap on it. So we have some RCM codes: B1933, 1318, and B1869. I'm not sure what those are. It could be because the factory seats are not in this. I'm not 100% sure. All right, then we have some GEM module codes: B1428, B1353, 1397, and B1318. And that's all of our codes. So let me shut the camera off, and what I'm going to do is first I'm going to try to figure out which one of these are the PATS stuff. I believe it's going to be these instrument cluster codes, but let me search that and I'll be back. Okay, I've got us some data pulled up on our instrument cluster codes. This U1043 is invalid or missing data for traction control. That will be because of the probably the rear speed sensor that I was talking about. This one just is a data link fault. All right. So here, I think this is what, with all my research, now this is the first time I've had to do this kind of diagnostics for this type of stuff. I've worked on PAT systems a lot, being from a Ford background, but what this system's doing, it's a little strange, so I've already done some due diligence trying to find out a little bit of information on it. And this is one of the things that come up, that if it's been programmed with only one ignition key, it can have these symptoms. So that is a red flag, definitely. I knew I was probably going to have to get 2 new ignition keys and do an actual erase and reprogram on them. So that is a good indication there. I will keep that one in the back of my mind. All right, the B1202 is fuel sender open circuit. I do believe, I really thought this was out of gas, but I believe the gas gauge just isn't working. So that honestly could have been something that happened when they were doing the rear end swap. So that's where I like to check my codes first and then kind of work my way back towards stuff, because a lot of people would see this and they'd say, oh, it just needs a fuel pump or a sending unit. They would put one in. Well, me, I like to actually diagnose stuff first. So let's see what our ABS is. I'm not as worried about this. Right rear wheel speed oh my gosh, I can't even read. Right rear wheel speed sensor input circuit failure. So I believe you either have to have adapters or something when you do the solid axle swaps. I'm not real sure, but that won't be a big issue for me. Airbag passenger circuit open. That's our B1933 on the restraint control module. 1318. Battery voltage is too low. Airbag warning lamp indicator circuit failure. We have a safety belt lamp circuit failure. Somebody's probably unplugged that so they don't have to buckle up. Here we go, check this one out. Ignition key in circuit fault. So that's another red flag, and that's in the GEM module, the generic electric module. Let me see what these others are. Power door unlock, circuit battery short, not worried about that. Battery voltage too low, and then back to our right wheel speed sensor. Okay, so let me spin us around here. So that tells us a couple of things. First and foremost, that I'm pretty sure I need to get 2 PATS transceiver keys and do just an erase and reprogram on them, and I think that will take care of the PATS issue. If not, at least I know that those will not be the problem moving forward. So I'll start with that first. I'm not going to clear anything. I want it to stay in the PCM. That way, I just like to do it that way until it's fixed, because these are absolute hard faults. So when I plugged the battery up, they were faulted. So they'll come back immediately when I hook the battery up. So I'm not worried about any of that. So let me set this down real quick, my laptop, and we will get all my junk out of the way. Let's see. Now this thing has done pretty good starting for me, so let's see if we can give her an old crank. So here's the funny part that's going on. Okay. So that thing cranked with the theft light flashing, which is really weird. So that was another issue that the guy, bought it from told me it had. Sometimes it would crank, sometimes it wouldn't. But with the theft light flashing, it should not crank. So that yet is another gremlin we'll have to get into, and I'm hoping that the key program will fix that. So how about let's do a walk around since it cranked, and I can show y'all it running, what it sounds like, and a couple of other issues I found. Running, she sounds pretty darn good. I want to get down here close to the exhaust. Let me get this way. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but that thing is smoking pretty bad, and it's fuel. So I found two issues with that already, and I'm going to show them to you. I don't have a hood prop. Let me get a hood prop and then I'll be back. Alright, I found an old broomstick. So the first issue I found is this guy right here. Our fuel pressure regulator vacuum hose port is broken completely off. Now with this stuff, I mean, I can clearly see that it has had some, shall we say, crafty work done on the vacuum system. So with that regulator being broke off with no vacuum, that will make it run very rich, which will cause that blue smoke we're seeing. Or it ain't blue, it's kind of a, it'll be fuel, so it's kind of a black smoke, and you can smell really strong like fuel smell. Second thing, we have a pretty good vacuum leak there. That is our PCV inlet, and it's whistling pretty good, and it is also sucked flat. So I know our crankcase isn't getting vented the way it's supposed to. So that right there is two things that can cause like a rich running issue, which is what it's having right now, along with lots of other stuff. But anyway, I guess next thing to do would be to get parts, get a set of keys, and let's get this thing reprogrammed, because I would really love to get it in the shop, get the transmission fixed in it to where I can enjoy it a little bit, because this sucker does sound pretty good. I still don't know if you can see that smoke any that's coming out of it. See, like it'll quit smoking, like it's not even smoking right now, and then it'll start back. So it will probably need a set of spark plugs also. But as far as just looking at it, let me shut it off so it's not as loud out here. As far as just looking at it, like when I bought it, I saw those two things pretty quickly. I saw the fuel pressure regulator and that vacuum leak issue. Also the really genius vacuum hose work here. I saw that stuff right off the bat, which doesn't concern me. I'm usually pretty good at figuring that stuff out. But other than that, it runs good. Like it'll get down. I mean, the guy I bought this from, I've seen him leave in it, and it's pretty spicy. But I don't know as far as engine work if anything's been done to it or not. So I'm going to get these parts and we will get them on there ASAP. So I wanted to take a break from working for a little bit, and as you can see, I changed sunglasses. Now my other sunglasses, I use them for driving, working, whatever I got to do, but these bad boys, See that big C right there? When I put these on, I turn into a bad fisherman. Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. I'm taking a break off the Mustang for a little bit. It's a nice spring day. The water's moving a little bit in the creek here, moving a little bit slow. So we're gonna see if we can drag a few old big uns out. Let's see what we can do. Using a big bad fluke right here. All right. Nobody wanted the fluke. They're all full. They're all full of minnows. So we're gonna go after some big ones now. You can't tell anybody what I'm about to show you because it's a secret weapon that I used to win tournaments back in the day. When you want them big fish, you gotta use them big lures. I haven't caught one out of this hole yet. I caught a bunch of them out of it last year, so I'm just trying to play around, have a little fun, see if we can get some blow-ups. Okay, they're definitely full over here. We're gonna switch spots and see if we can't drag one in. All right, we gotta be quiet. We're down here at my super secret fishing hole. Can't even believe I'm putting this on camera. We're gonna start out with a fluke first. Nobody's hungry for flukes again, so let's pull out the big dog. See if we can get some blow up. Oh. What the daggone heck? Creek's let me down. Let's swap. Got a little excited. Let's see if he wants it some more. Well, we had one bite. I got a little excited. I set the hook a little too fast. So I guess technically you could say I got skunked. So we better get back to working on that Mustang. Break's over. Fun stuff's over now. Now we got to get to the car stuff. Well, good morning. After my little fishing hiatus, I didn't really feel like doing any more work that day. So it's now the next morning. We're gonna get back on this Mustang. So let me show you what we're gonna be doing today. All right, first off, we've got our fuel pressure regulator. That's in pretty good shape. Nothing wrong there. I have a hood prop rod. That's going to be the first thing that I do. Third, you see here we have like a purge valve, purge solenoid for our evap system, and we have an EGR DPFE sensor. But the reason I got those was to get all these vacuum hoses with it. Third, we've got a new driver door seal. It's not new, it's used. This is all from the junkyard. So those are the about 4 items that we're going to try to knock out today, simply because I have them and it'll make my life easier working on the car. So let's get started. Okay, first thing, let me make sure I've got all this laying right. Yep. All right, so this little bracket on the hood prop rod is going to go kind of opposite the way I was thinking of. You want this end turned back that way, so when you lift the prop rod, it's going to turn or move opposite of that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure the battery's unhooked, because they have a couple of grounds on this and I'm not sure what or why. So it's going to get moved back over here to this ground post, which is what that is. First thing we got to do is take this 8mm bolt out. Whoops. See, here's that ground. There's our old prop rod little bracket deal. And then our bolt clip. See, I kept all of that on the new one, the bolt clip or retaining clip and bolts and everything. So let me take this off. I'm not going to use that bolt or clip. I'm going to use this bolt, the one that was in it. So let me get this halfway started. Perfecto. And there's a little tab on this clip and it's supposed to set against that radiator support. That's kind of how that works. This is a pretty simple job. Just get her a little bit snug. Let's see how this is going to work. Oh, and I didn't even realize it. Our little clip that holds it is gone. So, anywho's, let me catch our block of wood. And there you have it. One prop rod. Yeah, don't need that anymore. So now let's get to this ground and see what we can do with it. Reposition. That way we can see it. There we go. Right here is what we're going after. So it's the same size. It's a 8mm. We're going to take it loose. And on a Ford, I can't remember if a Chevrolet or any other vehicles are this way, but you see that bolt is green, and on a Ford that normally indicates a ground bolt. So that's why I don't know why the ground was moved up to this one, but anywho's, what I'm going to do, that's pretty clean. There's no, the bolt had been painted over, but I don't think that's going to affect anything. So we're just going to stick that bad boy back right there. And I guess if we have any ground issues, we will know where it's at. I'm really fortunate that I remember where a lot of this stuff goes from my original car. Get that good and snug. Perfect. One job down, 3 more to go. All right, moving on to the fuel pressure regulator. Like I said, the vacuum port is broken off, so we're going to unhook it. I like using a little flat pocket screwdriver, and that works really good. Got that plug off. We'll get it out of the way. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is relieve the fuel pressure, if there is any, because when you take that off, fuel is going to go everywhere. So I'm using my screwdriver again. I'm just covering the port up with a rag. I didn't hear any, so there's no fuel pressure at the rails, which is kind of strange anyways, but we can deal with that another day. Now, oh, I bet I got the wrong size. Yep. For reference, those are 7mm. I believe I kept the bolts I got out of the one at the junkyard too, so we'll be good on that. One bolt. And those bolts are kind of small, very easily lost. Same. What I like to do with these have, let me get this other one. These have O-rings around the port that goes into the fuel rail. So what I like to do is kind of give them a twist, just to kind of work those O-rings. And then what I do is I take my same pocket screwdriver and kind of get under that flange, and then rotate and just kind of put a little pressure on that thing, and it'll work its way out. There we have it. So you can see that vacuum port has been broken pretty good. Now, I didn't lube these O-rings, but they usually go in pretty well. That flange looks disgusting. Let me show you. See how dirty and nasty that flange looks? We're gonna wipe that down. So fresh and so clean. Try to get down in it just a hair. because that will, sometimes that will allow a little dirt to get in there. So we're going to go back. Perfect. Let me see if my knee bolts are any better shape than that. They were in a little bit better shape. Let's use that. Oops. Bolt there. Now this thing is O-ring sealed, so you don't have to put the torque master on it. It just needs to be snugged up. So now we have that fixed, which creates the same problem. Let me plug it up. We still don't have a vacuum to go on this. Now this is a vacuum that somebody got creative with, we'll say. And it's just plugged off on this valve cover stud, which is the reason I got this stuff. It has all these factory vacuum hoses on it. So let me give you a shot of this hose. So here is a factory vacuum hose running into the firewall, which controls your blend door actuators. Also, see, here's the plug for our EGR DPFE sensor, which is not on it, so I don't know. Anywho's, here we have another vacuum port that's just broke off. So my plan being, these vacuum ports come off of a regular GT, but those two firewall ports are exactly the same way with the fuel pressure regulator. It has the exact same fitting. I guess you would say on the vacuum side, it has the same degrees of angle and that type of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start there, putting this vacuum hose setup on it, and just see how many of that factory GT vacuum harness will actually go on the Cobra. So let me get started on that. Well, I've got my vacuum system kind of just laid over the intake here. These two ports are the ports for the back of the engine or the firewall. The rest of them just kind of wrap around, and this system may actually work on this car. I've done some looking and I think it might, so we'll see. First thing we're going to do is start with these two ports back here. Man, somebody needs to go to school. That one and this one. Okay, so those two are out. And I can't remember if that is actually routed correct or not. It will be fine nonetheless. So let's go. We're going to plug this up first and then this up, because this port is longer than that port. And see, there's another loose ground, and its ground bolt is still there. So anywho's, so what we're going to do now is come up, you can't see, up here On the top of the engine, we have 2 vacuum ports. We have one here and one here. So I think this port, which honestly was kind of weird because it was plugged into straight vacuum here, and then this end, the other end, was the end that was just plugged off on the valve cover stud. So it really honestly wasn't doing that much. So what I'm going to do is, see, that'll plug right in. Now the factory one probably had these 90s turned back, kind of like that, but at this point in time it'll work. So even if it touches the hood a little bit, that will be fine. And I know it's ugly, but what I'll do, I'll end up buying a factory Cobra vacuum system for it. And that gets our fuel pressure regulator. See, it's got the right 90 on it here, so it plugs in. Our purge valve sits right here, so I'll probably go ahead and put that back on because it needs it. And then this green one was for the EGR valve, which sat right here, and it has a block off plate, so I'm guessing it's been tuned to eliminate the need for this port. So I will have to plug that vacuum hose, but technically that would be it for now. Well, I found a couple of bolts. Those bolts that were in the purge solenoid valve from the GT was not correct. It was mounted on like a, well, I guess you saw it, like a bracket. And that bracket was held on with like some studs and other things, and this intake is designed for 2 bolts, which I did not grab the right size wrench for. Yeah. These are just a couple of 10 millimeters. And they're just, aha. Well, that one's stripped out. Let's see about this one. Okay, it won't tighten up either, so I bet these are actually like the wrong size of bolts, but it's okay. It's just mounted here, you know, to hold it in place. And it has one plug and then the vacuum hoses that go in it. So I'm going to plug those vacuum hoses in it, plug the electrical connector up, and that looks good. So I'll have to remember that when I go to the junkyard to get some bolts. And now we have this guy hanging out up here, and I don't see, I might be able to get under here. Oh yeah, I've got a stud. Well, no, I don't. I lied. Don't be mad. I'll find something to plug this hose with so I don't have a vacuum leak. So next, what I'm going to do before I get on the door weather stripping, and you see this ain't perfect, it's supposed to be routed behind the engine here, but it's okay. So here we have the PCV valve that plugs up like so, and that goes to this vacuum port. Well, someone threw on what looks like some 5/8 heater hose, and it seems like it would fit, but when the vacuum pulled, like I showed in the video of it running, it sucks this thing flat. and then if you move it, it's just a huge vacuum leak. So let's go to my secret stash and see if we can find anything that will work on this. And I'm going to take this hose with me. Into the shop we go. Still somewhat of a mess. I've started getting things cleaned up on it. I kind of do it in my spare time. So let's look. I have some, what does that say? 1/2 inch. So that would probably work a lot better. Let's see if it, oh yeah. If I can get that on there. And see, I have a lot of factory stuff that's come off of used engines that I've put in my vehicles. I did it's a little messy in there. I don't see any vacuum hoses though. So we'll go with the 1/2 inch. But anywho's, I wish I would have filmed this, but I drug a 2001 F-150 out of the junkyard, 2 of them actually, and did an engine swap on it. It was pretty good. I guess if y'all want to see some pictures, I think I have some pictures I can throw up and show them in a small short video if you want to. Just let me know in the comments. So let me trying to figure out where I could set my camera and y'all could see what I'm doing. I think that works pretty good. What do y'all think? These are in the way, aren't they? My goodness. Filming, it sucks. Tell you what, let's do. Let's set right here. Move that out of the way. So let me get a good clean cut on this, the new one. I'm just kind of weird, I think. I don't like big, like just really nasty looking cuts. I like a nice clean cut. And you can see where this looks like it was just, you know, they probably used their lawnmower to cut it because it looks horrendous. Okay, we kind of know about what size that needs to be. I'm going to give it probably 1/4 inch extra. And cut that nice and straight. I'm kind of a perfectionist. That's why janky stuff, I don't like to see it on vehicles. See, that was super easy. Just cut it with a daggum razor blade. Oh yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot better. Nice and tight. Perfect. Okay. Let me kind of get an idea of about how much we need for the other end. We're going to need a pretty good piece for it. Let's go about there. And if I need to trim it, I'll be able to. Let me get this out here where I can cut myself real good. I have done that before with a blade identical to that. I don't know if you can see it. There's a scar up my finger. I had to have it sewed back on like a month after I started at the Ford dealership. That's funny. It wasn't at the time, but looking back now, it's a little humorous. So I need to take about 1 inch or so off of this one, and then we'll be ready to fit. Let's see how our work looks. Get off of there. All right. Okay, let's see if our vacuum hoses work. Take just a little bit of, just a tiny bit of oil, put on that. I'm going to try to work this hose on first, because it's going to be, well, I'll tell you what, let me do this. Let me put it on this plastic first, because I can hold it with both hands pretty good. Okay. I may not ever get this on here. Maybe I should have done this first, reckon. Which I think Ford kind of done this on purpose. Like, they used really weird vacuum hose sizes and then made their own vacuum fittings for it, probably. There we go. Because like I said, I'll order the correct stuff. This is just for now, so it doesn't have a gigantic vacuum leak. Whoops. Get on there, big dog. Come on now. Get on there. All right. Voila. Get that out of the way. So after those few little projects, we've ended up with that fixed. All of this mess took off that didn't really do anything. And the purge valve solenoid put on. And our prop rod is right and working. Now I'll come back and I'll clean this bracket up and whatnot and paint it. So as you can see, it all is kind of fitting and looking a little better. But like I said, I'll have to order the correct Cobra vacuum harness for it, and that'll make it look a lot better. So now let's get into the interior. All right, inside we have some weather stripping that is not present, to say the least. It had failed. The previous owner had told me that he couldn't get it put back on correctly, so he just kind of threw it in the back, and that's fine. That is okay dokie. So what I'm going to do is to see if we can do this without scratching everything up, is pop those push tabs out. We have a few of them. They're not too terrible to get out. That one sometimes, yep. See, that one just kind of slipped over it, but we'll get it out after the fact, like right now, if I can. Get on out there. Well, I said I would. There it is. See, just some little push tabs. Okay, so that let this, what in the world is there? Is that glue? Yeah, I think so. Ooh, and this one up here in the corner, it's a little rough. You can tell somebody's probably had to break into it over the years, maybe lock their keys in their car. So let me see, it has some like glue, I don't know what that is, sealer of some kind up in there, and that may actually be the reason that it's not sticking. So let me, well that's, that, oh, two-sided tape. I caught him. I was trying to pull a whole fast one on the old fella. I don't think this stuff is supposed to have any kind of adhesive on it. It may, but I really don't think it is. So I tell you what we're going to do. Let me get this stuff taken off, and then we'll move along with getting the seal put on. Well, it's literally been an hour. I really don't like to shame people on stuff they do, but this deserves a little shaming. I don't want to call no names. I hope this was just somebody that did this that just didn't really know a lot, okay? So what we had two-sided tape all the way around this trim channel, and then somebody had put about 1/4 of an inch of weather stripping adhesive or something in there to try to hold this up. Well, let me get this seal to where I can see it. The way this seal works is it has a little lip right here, which is captured by this channel. There's a lip in that channel. So when you have this much glue in your weather stripping channel, it's not going to be able to capture it in that weather strip channel. So what I'm going to try to do is to put the old weather strip back in it, save my good weather strip, and I will get a new weather strip channel either out of the junkyard or something like that. So let me see if I can get this in here now, finally. And there you have it. So check that out. That is that factory weather strip that was falling out of it. Now right here you can see it's kind of wavy. That channel is bent a little bit in that area, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and get the channel also before I put this good weather strip in. But that just goes to show you, you can be a novice, you know, not really know how to do something. But I've always told people that's asked me questions about doing stuff, go to the junkyard, look at some factory stuff, see how it's done, get on the internet, look at factory vehicles, how they're supposed to look. Don't just come out and slap, you know, 10 pounds of glue in something and try to glue it back, because it doesn't work out. Because what had happened, that glue had gotten behind the lip that captures this seal, so the lip couldn't get behind it to grab that seal because it was full of glue. So, you know, to those out there that's just new at this or haven't done it very long, I say this a lot: a little elbow grease goes a long way. Now it took me a lot to get this junk out of there, but it was totally worth it. So now I have this seal, which will work and keep rain out until I can get the new weather strip channel and that seal put in. So before we end, let me, whoops, chunk that in there. Let's see how it closes. Look at that. Nice tight seal all around that glass. Well, there's only one thing left to do now, and that is to crank it and see if we're still getting any like rich type fuel smoke out of the exhaust. So let's do that. We got power. Let's go see how she's running. First off, me, it sounds a lot better already. I'm not getting that little bit of smoke that I was getting yesterday or earlier when I first bought it. So that kind of tells me that the vacuum system is probably working better. I forgot to plug that line, that vacuum line. Let me go see if I can find something in the old shop drawer to plug that with. Actually, haha, jackpot. That was the bolt that come off of the purge valve solenoid. Perfect. That worked out good. Now, what I'm hearing first off is this thing is running a lot smoother. Yesterday, when I was filming it, it would run a little bit and then it would do like this bump, 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 which was probably a small misfire because of the amount of fuel going into it. So I think that's a lot better today. It still smells a little bit rich to me. I'm getting just some condensation exhaust out of it now, but it still smells just a tad rich to me, and that could be in the tune or something like that, which in the future this will be it'll get tuned. But I'd say this was a successful day, or 2 days, I guess you would say, after I went on my fishing hiatus yesterday and got skunked. But we got a lot of small things done. There's still a lot of small things to do. So we're going to end this one here. If y'all have stuck with me this long, y'all, I really appreciate it. This is a project I've been very excited about and looking forward to. I would say for the last 10 years I've been looking for these cars and just kind of never really found the right one in the price range that I wanted to pay. So like I said, if you like this kind of stuff, give me a like, give me a subscribe if you want to see more of it, because this was, like I said, small stuff, but I'm taking y'all along for everything that I do on this car. I had to push myself to keep from doing this small stuff off camera because I was so excited about working on it. So like I said, y'all are going with me through every step of the way. So give me a like, give me a subscribe, and we'll see y'all in the next one.